Good morning, students. Welcome back to another session of Lesson 5 of Civics Democratic Rights. Today we will study about the expanding scope of rights. At the beginning of the chapter, we discussed the significance of right, and later we have focused on fundamental rights in the Constitution. You might think that fundamental rights guaranteed by the Constitution are only the rights citizens have, but it is not true. While the fundamental rights are the source of all rights, our Constitution and law offers a wide range of rights. Over the years, the scope of rights have expanded. Sometimes it leads to expansion in the legal rights that the citizens can enjoy. From time to time, the court gives judgment to expand the scope of rights. There are certain rights like the right to freedom of press, right to information, and right to education, which are derived from fundamental rights. Now, school education has become the right for every Indian citizen. The governments are responsible for providing free and compulsory education to all children up to the age of 14. Parliament has enacted a law giving the right to information to the citizens. This act was made under the fundamental right to freedom of thought and expression. We have the right to seek information from government officers. Recently, the Supreme Court has expanded the meaning of right to life to include the right to food. Also, rights are not limited only to fundamental rights as written in the Constitution. Constitution provides many more rights which will not be fundamental rights. For example, the right to property is not a fundamental right, but it is a constitutional right. Right to vote in election is an important constitutional right. Sometimes the expression take place in what is called human rights. These are universal moral claims that may or may not have been recognized by law. In that sense, these claims are not rights going by the definition that we presented earlier. With the expansion of democracy all over the world, there is greater pressure on government to accept these claims. There are some international covenants that have contributed to the expansion of rights. Now we will study about the international covenants of on economy, social and cultural rights. There are many rights that are not directly a part of fundamental right in India, in Indian Constitution. So, the international covenant recognizes them. This has not yet become an international treaty, but human rights activists all over the world they see this as a standard of human rights. And this includes right to work, which means there is opportunity to everyone to earn their livelihood by working. Next is right to safe and healthy working condition, fair wages that can provide decent standard of living for the workers and their families. Next is right to adequate standard of living. It includes adequate food, clothing and housing. Next is the right to social security and insurance. People should feel secure as they live in society. The next is right to health, which means medical care given during illness and special care for women during childbirth and prevention of epidemics. And the next is right to education, which means free and compulsory primary education and equal access to higher education. Now, from time to time, the scope of rights have been expanding. New rights are evolving and they are a result of struggle of people. New right emerges as society develop or as new constitutions are made. The Constitution of South Africa guarantees its citizens several kinds of new rights, and these are right to privacy, so that citizens or their homes cannot be searched, their phones cannot be tapped, their communication cannot be opened. Next is right to environment that is not harmful to their health or well-being. The other is right to have access to adequate housing, and the next is right to have access to healthcare services, sufficient food and water, and no one may be refused emergency medical treatment. Now, there are many people who think that the right to work and right to health, right to minimum livelihood, and right to privacy should also be made fundamental rights in India. Next, we'll look at is the protection of fundamental rights. Part 3 of the Constitution, it guarantees 6 kind of rights to the citizens of India. The Supreme Court of India is empowered to protect these rights. If an individual is deprived of these rights, that person can go to the court of law and the Supreme Court for the protection of these rights. Students, I hope you all have understood this much. Thanks for watching this video.